Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching me today. My name is Peter. Welcome back to another episode of Invest with Peter Ads. All right, guys, if you see me for the first time, please subscribe to the channel, like, and put your comments down below. So today, I'm actually going to be talking about, the Donald J. Trump's cabinet nominees and how their policies are going to affect, world economy and its relations. You might be wondering, as an investor, what does that have to do with me? What do I need to know people in these cabinet positions and all that stuff? Well, their policies are going to affect economy, and economy will affect your portfolio. So you probably need to sit down, relax, take a cup of coffee, and enjoy this episode. I'm going to be highlighting them, naming them, mentioning their names, their portfolio, their views, and actually what the critics sees about these people. Some critics don't really like these, combinations, but it's Donald J. Trump who always like to, prioritize loyalty. So he prefer people that are loyal to him than people that are just coming with the face. So 2016, when this man, Donald J. Trump, became the president, it was surprised. It was like, he doesn't know people in Washington, D.C. So he had to be getting people from, suggestion from friends and family and all that stuff. So that's why he was firing a lot of people in his cabinet in his first 4 years, right? So, but now he's an experienced man. He know what he's doing, and they actually been selecting people that's going to be in the cabinet with him, and it's selecting his close pals, people who are loyal to him, and some other people who were not loyal, but now changed their mind and now loyal. So I'm going to be mentioning their names. You're going to see their picture on the screen as I'm talking about them, and you can decide. But I believe these policies they're going to be making, this cabinet, is that I think the United States have not seen any combination like this. Talk less of people that are investors, world billionaires, random people that are not politicians are part of this government this time. The likes of Elon Musk, Ramaswamy, and all these people that people are thinking, how on earth will you put this man into the cabinet? But I'm going to be speaking about that today as well. So first of all, let's talk about Marco Rubio. So I'll be starting with Marco Rubio. So Marco Rubio has been a former Trump critic, right? And he's been the rival of Donald J. Trump since 2016, when Donald J. Trump had the first stint to the government house. And, Marco Rubio has grown close to Trump of recent and in the years, past. So he was the Florida senator, and he's also a hawk to China, Iran, and Cuba. So from there, we're getting the state secretary, secretary of state that is going to be a hawkish guy to the countries like China and Iran, right? And Donald J. Trump has been mentioning these two countries that, well, they're going to feel the weight when it comes back in. He sees China as a rival and Iran as, as an enemy of the state, right? Because Iran, according to the news, has been planning to eliminate Donald J. Trump, according to the news, right? That's what we see on the TV. So this guy has been a hawk to these people, these countries. So we might see some strange, relation between the United States and these two countries I've mentioned. So Marco Rubio, people were not surprised to have Marco Rubio as his Secretary of State. And some critics from Democrats are thinking, how on earth would Donald J. Trump pick Marco Rubio to be in that position? So let's move on straight away to the Secretary of Defense. This is a shock to the world, right? Because the guy that's been nominated, Pete Hestege, he's been like, the list of the numbers of people that people expect to be nominated to that position. And people are wondering that whoever going to be, stay the Secretary of Defense should be a general with 5-star, minimum of 3-star and all that stuff. But this guy is not a general, and he's not got the experience. He's just 44 years old, and they're asking, this guy may not have a clue of how to run this particular portfolio, but he's the president's preferred candidate, and Donald J. Trump know the reason why he put this man in there. And Hestege has been a veteran as well himself. So he's from Minnesota, who has been a commentator on Fox TV for the past decade. So people were wondering, this guy has got the portfolio, he's got his common sense to do it, he's got the experience, he was a former military man, but has he got the charisma to be in that position? So fans, well, we'll see what happened from there, because most people are not actually agreeing with this, but it is what it is. Trump has chosen Pete Hestege as the Secretary of Defense. So the next one is Attorney General, right? Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz has been on Democrats rather for a while. It's been some negative media for a while, which I'm not going to be talking on this channel at this point. If you want to Google him and read about him, you can understand. So, Gaetz is resigned from Congress after he was nominated consistently back Trump during his time in House. In 2023, the representative led a campaign to replace Kevin McCarthy as a speaker. Gaetz has been facing a House, ethics investigation into allegations including blah, 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 de blah, de blah, de blah, which I'm not going to be mentioning on my channel, okay? So you can Google it and see why Democrats do not like this guy. So the next one is Doug Burgum, the Secretary of Interior. So this guy, during his time as a governor of North Dakota, Burgum suggested the Bureau of Land Management should be allowed to drill oil. Remember, Trump says, drill, baby, drill, baby, drill. So this is the Secretary of Interior who actually prefer to be drilling, we want oil to be drilled, and also is aligning his policies to what the president wants. So, he's been around Trump for a while, so Trump knows why he picked this man as the Secretary of Interior. So now let's go to my favorite, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So Secretary of Health and Human Services, and how it's going to affect the pharmaceuticals or pharmaceuticals, the way you want to pronounce it, right? I call it pharmaceuticals. Some people say it's called pharmaceuticals. So now this man is always been against vaccine, anti-vaxxer and all that stuff. He doesn't really appreciate how vaccines were produced less than 7-8 months during Rona 2020. So this guy has been anti-vaxxer, right? So, and he's been picked by Donald J. Trump to oversee, this portfolio, Secretary of Health and Human Services. So the former presidential candidate, he was running alongside, he was running as, for the presidency before he actually aligned with Donald J. Trump, for the election. So he was supported by, his supporters actually voted for Trump as well. So he's been handpicked, and people are having a concern that pharmaceuticals or pharmaceuticals, the way you want to pronounce it, they're going to have issues with this man. So that's why we saw the likes of Pfizer, JSK, Johnson & Johnson, all these companies went down immediately that J. Trump, was talking about RFK Jr. as a nominee, to that, Secretary of Health. So people were thinking like it's going to be a big problem for all these companies, and the companies that all these artificial food materials that they mix in, food and all that stuff. It's never been the, friendly with all these artificial chemicals that's been mixed into people's food. So it's going to be, I think he's a good candidate for this role. So expect a big change in the medical sector and pharmaceutical sector, right? So I actually prefer this candidate for this role. We're going to see how that goes with that. So now let's move on to the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. She's the governor of South Dakota since 2019. She previously represented the state's at-large district in the House. She's a loyal supporter of Donald J. Trump. During the campaign, This lady was going everywhere in South Dakota campaigning for Donald J. Trump, and she delivered. So that's why she's been picked for the Secretary of Homeland Security. I'm not surprised to see this woman being nominated for this position. So now let's move on to the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins, right? Collins, a former representative from Georgia, became known for his ardent defense during Trump's first impeachment. We all saw on the TV where Trump was being, moved around New York and all that, being indicted and all that stuff, convicted. This man has been with Donald J. Trump, fighting on behalf of Donald J. Trump for what they've been doing, for what they're doing to him and all that stuff. So this man has been assigned as the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. So he's a lawyer, all right, and a chaplain at the U.S. Air Force Reserve. So it's a good candidate as well. Now let's move on to CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, John Ratcliffe, right? Ratcliffe, has been a Republican, former House member. Ratcliffe previously served as Trump's Director of National Intelligence, so she understands what's expected of him. She's been in this role before, thereabouts, and is acting as the U.S. Attorney in Texas. So this guy is one of the best candidates for this role as well, no question about that. So let's move on to Trump's nominee for United States Ambassador to United Nations. So Ellis Stefanik. So Stefanik has been one of the highest ranked House Republicans, right? Stefanik, backed effort to overturn 2022 election, because Stefanik has been all about Trump, that the 2022 election was rigged. She believed that, Biden didn't win that election fair and clear and all that stuff. And, that's what Trump wants people to see him, that election 2020 was not really a free and fair election. So she backed Trump all the way in, and she's been given this role as United States Ambassador to United Nations. And if you look at how the way she's been defending United States at the UN Congress meeting, she's very vibrant. I saw us, talking about some issue around Israel. She's pro-Israel as well. So this woman understands what's expected of her, and that's why I believe Donald J. Trump picked this woman to be the ambassador for U.S. at the United Nations. So let's talk about Tulsi Garbade, right? Tulsi was formerly a Democrat, right? But when she saw that the way Democrats were going is against her personal belief, and she's like, no, I can't follow Democrat with all these policies they are actually putting up there. And she's not, a lover of Kamala Harris. So she was like, no, I'm going Republican. Republican aligned with my policy, with my belief system. And she's been campaigning for Donald J. Trump ever since. And Donald J. Trump has picked her as the Director of National Intelligence. This woman, she serves in the military as well. She understands the veteran need to be looked after, and she's always about but she's against war out there. She's not like other Trump supporters that want war with Iran and all that stuff. She doesn't like people sending soldiers to war front. She wants peace. She wants the US first, protect what you have and all that stuff. So Garbade, who represented Hawaii in the House from 2013 to 2021 as a Democrat, appeared in support of Donald J. Trump in the 2024 campaign trail. A lieutenant colonel in the Army, like I said, she's in the Army Reserve. Garbade has been a vocal critic of U.S. foreign policy, so she's a very good candidate for this particular portfolio. So let's talk about the Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Lee Zeldin, a former Trump ally in the House. Zeldin, staunchly defended Trump during his former impeachment. These are all Trump's loyal follower, loyal fan, loyal friends, and he's been, giving these people the role. And as he understands, he actually picked these people now because he understands how government works, unlike 2016, where it just came and just start picking random people. So he knows. So Susie Willis, when Trump was giving the speech when he was, declared the winner, they just say, Susie, you've done a good job. So Susie has been, with Donald J. Trump for a long time. She's been a long time political consultant for Donald J. Trump. And Willis worked on Trump's 2016 campaign. and the Florida governor Ron DeSantis 2018 also run for governor. She was the co-chair of Trump's 2024 political campaign. So she's been on the side of Donald J. Trump for a while now. So she's been compensated to be the chief of staff and the first female to be a chief of staff in the United States. So that's good for women. All right, so the press secretary, this is the woman that's going to be talking every time, giving us whatever Donald J. Trump want to tell us, every time. She's going to be the press secretary. She's going to be coming out every time to tell us, what's going to be happening or what's going on. She's Caroline Leavitt. So Leavitt was the press secretary for 2024 Trump's 2024 campaign. I'm faster than my mouth now. Sorry about that. I just need to do this, short, straight, and sharp. So she served under Donald J. Trump. She's been there for, Trump for a while, and, speechwriter during the first administration as well. So she's experienced. She understands what is expected of her. Now, let's talk about the Deputy Chief of Staff, Dan Savino. Savino's been White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Communication during Trump's first term. So Trump, is part of Trump's first stint at the government. So now she is going to be Deputy Chief of Staff again. So I'm going to move on to the border czar. Border czar, goodness me, that's one particular sector area that Trump has been emphasizing during his campaign. And he has chosen Tom Homan. Tom Homan has been a hawkish guy. He wants to deport a lot of people. And, he was being asked in a recent interview that, are you going to be separating families, the children from their parents? He said, well, what about deporting all of them together instead of separating them? So this guy, Homan, was the acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement during the first part of the first Trump administration, and he was a proponent of deterring illegal immigration by separating children from their parents. So expect this guy to do a lot around, southern borders. So a lot of Mexicans going to be sent back and all that. Other people, who are not meant to be in US, So expect a lot on the news, a lot of, critics, mentioning these guys on the TV. You're going to hear more about this guy, Tom Homan. Don't forget that name. He's going to be the border czar during this regime. So now let's go to another interesting one, all right, which I'm going to be talking about today, and it's going to be the DOGE Departments of Government Efficiency, right? And that's why you can see the crypto investors, you can see DOGE going up, because these actually acronyms that align with the crypto DOGE. So, it's going to be Elon and Vivek that's going to be looking after these, and they've promised to save United States government $2 trillion in this regime. If they can do that, that will be a lot of effort, but I expect a lot of changes. I expect a lot of agencies to be closed down, because they're going to be actually looking after all government parastatals that are not actually performing to standard or that are not unnecessary to function. So they're going to be closing them down and save money on that part. So expect a lot of agencies to be closed down, wrapped up quickly, and that means people are going to lose their job, and it may take a while before they get moved back into another sector. So that might probably lead to a deflation at some point during this regime, which is not bad, because people are not going to be, all those money will be saved. People are going to lose their job, though they're going to be moved to other sectors as well. But this is going to save the government a lot of money. People are being, talking about this department, that what are they going to be doing? Well, let's wait and see. Vivek and Elon are going to be looking after these, do everything people are doing. If this is not, worth it, they're going to close it down. If this is not performing to standard, they reduce the number of people working in that agencies, and that is probably going to be, be good for the government on one part, and on the other side might be on to the other side, right? Which I'm not going to mention, but I believe they're going to perform to standard, and we're going to see how it goes. We're going to be sending Elon and Vivek on MSRE, that's the word, to go and speak to these people and all that stuff. So expect some funny changes, in this government. But I believe as an investor, that this government, people are saying, oh, Trump government always move the economy towards inflation and all that stuff. I will probably not agree with that. It may push us towards a deflation, at some point, but we'll see how it goes. But as an investor, right, to wrap this up, as an investor, I believe economy is going to do well under Trump. We know 2017-18 economy was doing fine before Ronnie Rona came up. So I believe that's why you can see BTC going up towards 100,000. In my last video, I mentioned 85,000. Well, it's beating my price target now, so expect 100,000 before Christmas. Okay, so I believe BTC cryptocurrency are going to do well. Also, stocks are going to continue to fly, and I believe Donald J. Trump is going to negotiate the two wars going on in Europe, Russia, Ukraine. I believe he's going to do all he can to stop that war. And when the war stops, guess what's going to start? Building of Ukraine. And the company that are going to be rebuilding, even though BlackRock is actually putting their hands up to help rebuilding Ukraine when the time comes. Remember, there's going to be companies that are going to be rebuilding, and that company, I'll mention one name, Caterpillar, is going to do well. Mark my word, Caterpillar as a company will do well in Donald J. Trump's government. I've not bought Caterpillar as an investor, but I'm looking at this company. I'm still doing my due diligence, but I believe after this war, companies like that will perform because they're going to be calling to rebuild the whole country. Now, Israel and let's talk about Israel and Gaza, Israel and Lebanon. That war too is going to be stopped at some point. It's going to negotiations. Netanyahu and Trump are going to negotiate the deal, and I believe at some point they're going to start rebuilding Gaza again and all that stuff. So there's some companies that are going to be in charge of that, which we understand that banks monies are going to be borrowed and all that stuff. So as an investor, these are the areas you want to be looking at in Donald J. Trump's government. Thank you very much. I think I've taken a lot of your time. See you some other time. My name is Pete Hestege. Please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you some other time again.